After an overview of geocode sunsetting, including what it is, why it's sunsetting, and what the impact is, as well as next steps, you might be moving on to alternative methods. The preferred alternative includes a free map tool that can be used in combination with Salesforce reports. You essentially identify a group of zip codes and use that as a filter within your report. The great thing about that is that your audience will update automatically or be dynamic, meaning if individuals move or move into that area that you're trying to target geographically, your report will automatically be updated. GeoPoint is a paid Salesforce add-on used by some shops, but I will mention a downside to it being that it does not update your audience automatically. An eComm specialist needs to be involved before every single send. So for many, that's enough of a downside that really pushes us to that free map tool, which is a great alternative and my preferred method. I'm currently looking at a Salesforce report that leverages the advanced geocode, which is again sunsetting. But I have my filters open on the right-hand panel here, and I can see advanced geocode that equals 3 different areas. They're kind of shortened for Grand Junction, Delta, and Glenwood. And I'm going to navigate back to the wiki just to highlight that up in the section about the overview, we do have a full list that can be viewed from the data dictionary. And I bring that up because make sure you're on the geocodes tab, the second one here. That could allow you to, if you're not familiar with what Delta refers to, there's a further description here. And similarly, we could see where Glenwood actually encompasses gypsum and parachute. So this data dictionary can just be a bit informational for you to help translate this information and try to get it as accurate as possible. But to be completely honest, it's not going to be. These are translations that I can only get so far on. This is the best description we have. And so the notion that you're going to recreate this list and it will be identical, I think you need to let go of and accept that there will be a little bit of variance, but that's okay. So with that in mind, you can navigate to the free map tool that from our wiki on geocode. If you can go ahead and open up this wiki. And we have full details on how to use this tool. So whether a user is providing the zip code information to their eComm specialist to create the report, or if the user just wants to let their eComm specialist know, I want this in the Denver South area, for example, that's just fine. And then the eComm specialist can use this tool to pull the accurate zip codes and then place it into that report for the user to send to. So you can open up the free map tool, which I have in this other tab, and I'll go ahead and zoom in onto this map to get to the Grand Junction, Glenwood, and Delta area for this particular example. And I can see I have Grand Junction here, Delta, and Glenwood falls up here. So I'm going to need to zoom out a little bit to make sure I capture that as well as Delta. And there's a moment of this that's going to be a guessing game. So I like to input what I think the radius of those might be. And I'm going to go with 45 miles here. And then when I click, it's going to put a circle around it. So I want to find what might be the most center area, but don't feel like it needs to be super perfect. And so I'm going to click there. And a pretty good guess. I'm capturing Grand Junction, areas of Delta, as well as Glenwood. And then underneath, I'm provided with this list of zip codes that captures. So obviously anyone has access to do this, but the next piece is going to be specific to eComm specialists. So the first thing I'd like to do is open up an existing report and figure out what the unique contact ID to make sure the new audience we capture isn't way far off. Again, I'm not trying to get exactly the same number, but I don't want it to double or quadruple. Also really important to note that having this unique count on here will make it not sendable. A user can't get a message out to it. So this is solely for temporary analytical purposes. Do not save it like this, or again, a send will fail. And I did just take a note of that unique count, but what I'll want to do is edit this report and navigate to the filter section. So I'm going to want to go back and copy all of those zip codes from this free map tool. And when I go back to the report, I'm going to want to pull in the home address zip and add that it starts with any of these zip codes and the comma in between all of them saying, or this zip code, or this zip code, or this zip code. And I'll go ahead and apply that. And I'm also going to, at this point, remove this advanced geocode. So again, that's really what I'm replacing with home address zip. And at this point, I just want to run it again and see what my unique count is. So this brought me to a unique count of 2,553, whereas, as I noted before, it was 2,207. And so that threshold, I'm okay with it going up by that much. And so I'm pretty comfortable with this list. There could be cases where the number of zip codes exceeds the character limit for this filter. And in those cases, what I recommend is adding it to a notepad first, and then kind of finding in the middle and cutting it in half. And so then we can take the first chunk and say home address equal to that, or the next zip code, or the next one. And then you can add another home address zip here. And in this case, we'll want it to equal the second group and apply it. And then we'll need to do one extra step of adding a filter logic. And so instead of everything being and, I'll want an or in between these two home address zips. And so we'll just do a parenthesis at around 7 and 8. And instead of and, it will read or. Oh, and do be sure this is starts with, not equals.